Welcome to Pain in the Grass, the official Lawn Pride podcast, where we dig deep into the real problems hiding in your yard. From weeds to grubs to mystery brown spots, we've got the dirt. Let's grow better together.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We cut through the noise, aiming to give you the knowledge you really need. And today, we're plunging into something many of us think we've got down, but maybe not quite. Fall lawn care. Now look, this isn't just about, tidying up the yard. It's actually vital for your lawn survival through winter and, crucially, for that strong comeback in the spring. Okay, let's unpack this a bit, because honestly, a few small strategic tweaks in what you're doing right now can make a huge, profound difference. We want to equip you with some maybe surprising facts and real actionable insights. No overwhelm, just clarity. So we'll hit 3 key areas: mowing height, watering, and dealing with all those leaves.
It's so true. A lot of people just see fall as the lawn shutting down, end of story till spring. But what's really fascinating is how fall basically sets the whole stage for the next year. While, the top growth slows down visibly, there's this incredible amount of hidden work happening underground. Critical work. Your grass isn't just like falling asleep, it's actively preparing, strengthening roots, storing energy. In fact, get this, for many cool season grasses, something like 80% of their annual root growth can happen in the fall.
80%. Wow. Okay, that completely reframes it, doesn't it? It's definitely about playing the long game then. Which neatly brings us to our first adjustment: mowing height. And here's where it gets really interesting. I mean, I'd bet many of you listening have been cutting your grass at the exact same height all season. Am I right? It's just habit.
It's a very common habit, easy to do.
Yeah.
But as those temperatures start to cool off, you actually need to gradually lower that mowing height.
See? It feels wrong, doesn't it? Like, you'd think longer grass offers more protection. So why on earth would we want shorter grass going into winter?
Well, it really boils down to 2 critical reasons, both directly impacting survival and spring vigor. First off, gradually lowering the height is probably your best defense against fungal diseases, especially one called snow mold.
Snow mold. Heard of it. Nasty.
It really is. This fungus, Fusarium navale, technically, it just loves long, matted down grass, especially when it's under snow or even just in those damp, chilly fall conditions. Think of it like wearing a thick, wet sweater for weeks. It stays damp, it can't breathe, and it creates this perfect, suffocating little environment for problems like mold right next to your skin. Shorter grass just allows much better air circulation right down at the soil level, and that significantly cuts the risk of those spores taking hold.
Okay, better airflow, less disease risk. Makes sense. What's the second reason?
The second one is all about optimizing the plant's own health, its internal processes. See, even as growth is slowing, your grass still needs light. It absolutely does. Shorter grass in the fall allows more of that crucial sunlight to actually reach the crown of the grass plant.
The crown, that's the base, right, where the new growth comes from.
Exactly, right there at the soil line. And this extra light, even in fall, is vital for photosynthesis to continue, even if it's slower. This helps your lawn store more carbohydrates, more energy for its upcoming dormancy. And that energy reserve is precisely what fuels a stronger, healthier green up in the spring. Gives you that resilient lawn you want when things warm up.
Right, so we're not just cutting it shorter. We're actively helping it pack its lunchbox for winter, essentially. But I've definitely heard some people say, just do one really short cut right at the end, scalp it before winter. Why is your gradual approach better than that?
That's a great point, and it highlights a really common misunderstanding. A sudden, really drastic cut, we'll call scalping, can seriously shock the grass. And right when it's trying its hardest to store that energy for winter, it just causes unnecessary stress.
Yeah.
Makes it more vulnerable to winter damage, delays spring recovery. It's just not good for the plant.
Okay, so shock is bad, gradual is good.
Exactly. The gradual part is key. You're looking to transition maybe from your summer height of, say, 3 to 4 inches down to a fall height around 2 to 2.5 inches. That's ideal for most cool season grasses. And you do this gently. Lower the mower deck maybe half an inch every week or so over a few mows. So by your final mow, which might be late October or maybe even November, depending where you are, you're at that sweet spot. 2 to 2.5 inches. It lets the plant adapt, keep storing energy, doesn't throw it into crisis mode. Plus, another thing, really long blades in fall can get easily crushed under heavy snow, leading to that matting we talked about. And believe it or not, it can even provide a nice winter shelter for mice or voles you might not want around.
Huh.
Okay, didn't think about inviting rodents. Good point. So a gentle, strategic transition, not a sudden shock.
Got it. Now, speaking of things that seem a bit backwards, let's shift focus from what's above ground to what's happening below, because that, I think, is where many of us make the next big fall mistake: watering. Let's talk about probably the biggest misconception I see homeowners make: shutting off the sprinklers way too early.
Oh, definitely. It's so common.
Yeah, it seems logical, right? It's cooler, things aren't growing as fast visibly, so less water needed. But what's really going on down there? Why is that assumption just plain wrong?
You've really put your finger on a critical point there. It's an overlooked truth. While the air gets crisp, maybe there's frost, and yeah, top growth slows way down. Fall is prime time for root development. It's the root season. Like we touched on, your grass is funneling a huge amount of energy into growing stronger, deeper roots.
The 80% thing you mentioned earlier?
Exactly. That massive root growth is absolutely critical. It helps the lawn survive winter's freeze-thaw cycles, it helps it access deeper moisture, and it means a much healthier plant come spring. It's basically building its underground support system, its fortress, before winter hits hard.
Okay, so roots are working overtime.
They really are. And this need for consistent moisture, it's especially important if you've recently overseeded or put down fall fertilizer, which are both, really common and beneficial things to do in the fall.
Right, good practices.
But think about it. It's like planting a garden and then just forgetting to water it. Same idea. New grass seedlings, they have incredibly shallow roots, tiny roots. They need that consistent moisture just to germinate and get established. And even your existing grass needs adequate water to properly absorb and use those fall nutrients you might have applied. Without enough water, all that effort, that expensive seed, that fertilizer, it's pretty much wasted.
Okay, so definitely don't turn off the tap just because it's October. What's the practical advice then? What's the rule of thumb for how much water our lawns actually need in the fall? And how do we track that without just guessing?
Yeah, guessing is not the way to go. The general rule is still aiming for about 1 inch of water per week. And that's total, whether it comes from rain or your sprinkler.
Yeah.
It's really important to pay attention to the weather forecast. Don't just run the sprinklers on a schedule blindly. You can easily track rainfall with a simple rain gauge. Or, honestly, just put an empty tuna can out on the lawn when you water. Time how long it takes to fill that can about an inch deep that tells you how long to run your system for that zone.
The tuna can test. Classic. Simple and effective.
It works. And don't underestimate a good soaking rain. Sometimes a slow, steady drizzle delivers more than you think. Now, as for when to stop watering completely, you basically keep going until the ground is close to freezing solid, or until your grass is fully dormant, usually after a few hard frosts. A maybe less common, but really effective pro tip: use a soil thermometer.
Oh, interesting. What are we looking for?
You're looking for the soil temperature a few inches down to be consistently below about 40 degrees Fahrenheit. That's usually late October, November in many places. Because below that temperature, significant root activity really does stop. A simpler check, though: just grab a screwdriver, try to push it into the ground about 4 inches deep. If it goes in easily, your soil probably has enough moisture. If you're really straining and fighting to get it in, it's definitely time to water.
Screwdriver test. I like that. Easy enough.
And one more really crucial point on watering. When you water matters, always aim for early morning. This gives the grass blades all day to dry off before the cool evening sets in. Wet grass sitting overnight in cool temperatures, that's just inviting those fungal problems we talked about earlier, like snow mold again.
Right. Water early, let it dry. Simple hack, big difference.
Huge difference. And just to reiterate, for anyone who has put down new seed this fall, consistent moisture is absolutely non-negotiable. Those new seedlings are incredibly vulnerable. They can dry out and die in just a few hours on a sunny, breezy fall day. You need to keep that top inch or so of soil consistently moist, not soggy, but definitely moist, until those seedlings are visibly growing and have a chance to establish.
Got it. New seed needs constant attention. Makes sense. Okay, so early morning watering, keep it going longer than you think. Vital stuff. Now finally, let's tackle the most visible fall chore, maybe the one we think about most: leaves. Leaf management. This is another big one, turning our yards into, well, either these perfectly bare landscapes or these giant, crunchy, leaf-covered quilts. I see homeowners go to both extremes. Rake up every single leaf, bag it all up, or just leave it all there. Hope for the best. It feels like leaves are both, like you said, a problem and maybe a real opportunity. What's the best strategy?
You frame that dilemma perfectly. Leaves really are a double-edged sword in the fall. The big problem with just leaving them, especially if it's a thick, heavy layer, is, well, it's multifaceted. First, it smothers the grass. It blocks sunlight, which the grass still needs, even if it's slowing down. It blocks air circulation, too. Second, that thick, damp layer traps moisture right against the grass blades and the soil surface. And that creates the absolute perfect breeding ground for mold, fungi, and other diseases we've been talking about. They can take hold under that leaf blanket and really damage your lawn over winter.
So it literally suffocates the grass?
Essentially, yes. It can absolutely suffocate the grass if the layer's thick enough and stays wet. Your grass needs to breathe, even in winter dormancy. Leaving a thick layer of leaves is basically like putting a wet pillow over your lawn's face for months.
Yeah.
Not good.
Okay, point taken. Leaving them isn't the answer for a healthy lawn. But what about the effort? Raking is a pain. You mentioned an opportunity, though. How do we turn this chore into a benefit?
Absolutely. The golden rule, really the ultimate win-win strategy here, is mulching those leaves right back into the lawn with your mower.
Mulching them, like just mowing over them.
Exactly. When you use your mower to shred those leaves into small pieces, they break down much, much faster. And as they decompose, they return incredibly valuable organic matter and essential nutrients right back into your soil. We're talking carbon, potassium, phosphorus, lots of micronutrients. It's all good stuff your soil and your grass need. It literally acts like a natural, slow-release, and totally free fertilizer for your lawn. It improves soil health significantly over time.
Free fertilizer? Okay, now you're talking.
Right. Beyond just the nutrients, mulched leaves also improve your soil's structure. They help it retain moisture better, and they support all that beneficial microbial life underground. Earthworms love them too. And let's be honest, it saves you a ton of time and effort compared to raking, blowing, and bagging everything up. Plus, you're reducing yard waste.
Okay, I'm sold on mulching. How do we do it right? Any practical tips?
Yeah, few key things. First, use your mower, maybe on a slightly higher setting than your final grass cut, to really chop those leaves up. You're aiming for small, like dime-sized pieces. You'll know you've done it right when you can walk back over the area and barely see the leaf fragments anymore. They should sort of disappear down into the grass canopy. These small pieces will settle in, decompose over winter, and slowly feed that soil and your lawn. But here's the important caveat. Balance is key. You want to mulch manageable layers.
Meaning, don't try to mulch like 6 inches of leaves at once.
Exactly right. If you have a really heavy, thick pile of leaves, say, more than a couple of inches covering the grass, don't just try to power through it all in one go. That can still smother the grass, even if mulched. In that situation, it's better to maybe remove some first. Rake or blow about half the leaves off onto a tarp or into a pile elsewhere, then mulch the remainder that's left on the lawn. Or, make 2 passes with the mower a few days apart if leaf fall is heavy.
Okay, so manage the volume. Don't overwhelm the lawn.
Precisely. And look, if you just have an absolutely overwhelming amount of leaves, like you live under huge oak trees, then yes, raking and bagging or composting is still a perfectly fine and necessary option. The absolute top priority is making sure your lawn isn't smothered over winter. So choose the method that achieves that based on your situation. But always consider mulching first if you can. The benefits are just too good to pass up.
This has been incredibly insightful. Really some surprising facts in there that definitely change how I'm going to look at my yard this fall. So let's recap. What does this all mean for you listening? We've hit 3 really critical adjustments for fall lawn care. 1, that gradual transition in mowing height shorter, but slowly to prevent disease and help store energy. 2, keeping up with consistent watering, maybe longer than you thought until the ground really freezes to support that vital root growth. And 3, strategically managing those fallen leaves, ideally by mulching them back into the lawn to fertilize and protect it. These small adjustments, they aren't just more chores on the list, are they? They're smart investments. It's about doing things differently, maybe not even more, just smarter. By making these kinds of informed changes, you're actively setting your lawn up to handle winter better and come back stronger, healthier, and greener next spring.
Absolutely. And ultimately, what I think this deep dive really shows is just how deeply connected our short-term actions, these seasonal tasks, are to the long-term health, the resilience, the vitality of our own little patches of nature. Kind of raises an interesting question, doesn't it? Thinking beyond just the lawn. What other seemingly small, maybe overlooked seasonal transitions in your environment, your garden, your trees, maybe even just pots on the patio, what impacts might they hold if we just paid a little closer attention? Whether it's, pruning a shrub at the right time, or cleaning out a rain gutter before winter, turning over a compost pile. Just observing these natural cycles and understanding the specific needs of your own green spaces during these transition times, it can truly transform their health and beauty in the long run. So maybe keep that curiosity going. Keep observing your own spaces. Because sometimes, the biggest impact really does come from those small, intentional adjustments.
Thank you for listening to the Pain in the Grass podcast, sponsored by Lawn Pride of North Charlotte, Huntersville, your go-to name in turf care for homeowners and businesses seeking beauty, quality, and reliability, powered by family and fueled by passion. Until next time, make sure to take care of that pain in the grass.